So I'm not filming this one at my house today. So I don't have my Viking hat. You know the Viking hat? So I'm wearing like other disguises. Winter disguises. Kinda nice. I like it. It's a good change. Kinda like this better than the Viking hat. So yeah, a weird thing happened, man. I was just outside and you know, I'm at my sister's house and she's got more lizards than I do. My house isn't a very lizard house, more like a frog house. So I'm sitting there and I'm like out there with my sister's dog and I'm looking at grass and my sister, she believes in like AC. So like there's always AC on. So you can't hear the birds. I think that's kind of weird and all because it's just like there's the ghost at the door. So that's kind of weird and all because like I'm so connected to birds, and whenever I come here, it's like AC, and you can't really hear the birds. I open the window a little bit. If she knew that, she'd kill me because she's a big AC fan. Oh, there it goes. It went off. But sometimes she likes to open the windows. But so so I'm like, man, something's wrong. So I wake up and I'm like, something's wrong. There's no birds. It's like all I hear is the or the AC. So I'm like, how do humans do this? Like, how do humans like do AC and heat and stuff, and they don't hear the birds? Like, that's so not what we are. Like, we're supposed to be like outside. I'm having trouble with my new disguise. We're supposed to be like outside and like around birds and around nature all the time. That's what we're supposed to do, you know. And man, this disguise is too heavy. So it's like like we're supposed to be in nature. So me and the dog go outside, and the dog likes going outside. And I sit on the porch and I'm looking at the dog, and the dog looks so happy, like so happy to be outside, like so much happier to be outside than he's ever happy to be inside. And I look at the dog, and I'm like, you know what, Mr. Dog? I'm like, you're right. Like, dogs are supposed to be out in nature. Dogs are supposed to be outside. So am I. So is everybody. So is the human race. We're not supposed to be inside with air conditioning. Like, we're disconnected to life. And then I'm looking at the grass on the ground. I'm looking at these ants. And I'm looking at all these weeds. And I go into the present moment and I realize how beautiful and how gorgeous everything is. It's been very hard for me to go into the present moment in the last day because I've been like rushing around to get ready for this festival that I'm supposed to be going to today. So if you leave a comment or anything like that, I probably won't get back to you until Monday because my phone is like on this farm in the middle of nowhere, and my Wi-Fi and all that other stuff won't work out there most likely. I'm probably not even going to turn my cell phone on, to be honest with you. I'm not a cell phone person. I don't want to be like at the concert around people. I don't want to be on my cell phone. So yeah, if you leave a comment on this video, I probably won't reply to your comment until Monday. So don't be hurt or upset because it's just because I don't have my cell phone on me. So it doesn't mean I don't love you, because you're cool. Just want to clarify that. So yeah, so I'm sitting on the porch, and I'm like entering the present moment, and everything's just so amazing. And like something makes me like just want to turn my head. So like I turn my head, and I see this like lizard. And at first, see, I'm not really that big of a fan of lizards. Like, tell you the honest truth. I mean, like, I've always had a very, like, I don't know, they're like not my favorite thing, I guess you could say. Like, I'm more of a fan of like frogs and birds and ducks and rabbits and squirrels, more furry things and stuff like that. I think it has to do with the fact that we were killed by so many snakes and reptiles, you know, evolutionary wise, throughout history. Ah, my outfit's falling apart. Okay. Nah. Okay, so cool, that looks good. Maybe. If it lasts. Okay, so I've never been a fan of reptiles and stuff like that, and I think there's like evolutionary reasons for that. So I look at this lizard, and right away I'm like disgusted by it. I look at it and I'm like, oh god, that thing's so ugly. Like, what's up with that lizard? I don't even understand lizards, It's like they only exist to like do this gizzard thing and bob up and down and attract women and eat insects, which I really like insects too. I think that's another thing. Like, I really, really like insects. And a jumping spider, which is like my spirit animal. Like, I've never had a jumping spider in my bedroom before, and a jumping spider was on my bed yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, there's a jumping spider in my bed, that's great. I was so excited. I love jumping spiders, dude. Whenever I'm like spiritually inclined or like present moment, and I'm all like drifting, and I'm just like in touch, and I am like life and creation and nature and everything like that, and I'm just like enthralled with the beauty of life. Like a jumping spider, sometimes a jumping spider will like jump on my leg because I'm always sitting on the floor, like Indian style crisscross applesauce. And whenever I get in that state, that I am life, I am creation, present moment state, sometimes the jumping spider will jump on me, on my leg or something like that. So I always see them as like my spirit animal. And so I found one in my bed yesterday, and I was like, that's so cool. So, so like lizards eat insects, and I love insects. If you read my book, like my ebook on Amazon, like I talk a lot about ants, like my relationship with ants and how much I love ants. And so, yeah, so lizards eat my ants and my jumping spiders. That's not cool, lizards. so so I'm staring at this lizard, and I'm like, God, it's so hideous looking. It's just like brown, and it's got all these weird designs and like things on it. It's so weird looking and gross. And I was just like, just look at it for a little bit longer. Like, seriously, just look at it. And, just keep looking at it. And eventually you'll find beauty in Mr. Lizard, So I kept looking at Mr. Lizard. Okay. Maybe. So I keep looking at, yeah, that works. So I keep looking at Mr. Lizard. And I'm still not seeing the beauty in it. And then I look into the lizard's eye. And like the eye of a lizard's like super small, man. Like it's just this black little thing. Like this black little circle thing. And I'm like looking at the lizard's eye. And the lizard's completely still. And it's like directly like eye to eye. And he moves his head slightly. And this white dot appears from the sun in his black little tiny eye. And then I looked at his mouth, and it kind of looked like it was smiling. And like I saw the beauty and the life, like everything about the lizard, and it was just a beautiful moment. And then the dog came over to me, as if our beautiful moment was over, and we accomplished what we needed to accomplish outside. Not saying you should ever do anything to accomplish anything. But the moment was over. It had seemed we went out there for a specific reason. To learn something. To grow as an individual. To see the beauty in something that we've never seen the beauty in. Because that's what life's all about, I guess. And the dog came back over to me, and we went back inside, and there was no birds, and there was no nature. And I kind of felt empty again. Because there's no life. There's no life inside. And, but to add on to that, this morning, I always struggle. I struggle with a lot. I don't, from one day to the next, I don't know what I should be doing, where I should be going, what I'm doing wrong. Things are not right most of the time. And I thought about, the last day's been really good. I was like, well, why has the last day been really good? And I'm like, your last day has been about making meaningful connections with people. Like being together with people. And then I was like, well, why is that so hard for people like us? If that's one of the best things in life is to find meaningful connections with people. I thought one of the main reasons why we struggle so much. People that are mentally ill, people that are borderline personality disorder, schizophrenic, a bit off, strange, different, than others, even gay, bisexual, transgender. One of the reasons why it's hard for us to, live this fulfilling, full life instead of this half-life that most of us live, and this emptiness that we feel, is that we don't feel that true connection with people because we're constantly being rejected by people. We're being seen as strange or different, or not like others, or we say the wrong thing, and so it's hard for us to have that meaningful connection with people. And unfortunately, having meaningful connections with people is such a beautiful feeling. The best relationship I have with anybody in my life is with my 13-year-old niece, because she's got the same kind of personality I do, and she thinks it's funny that I'm kind of crazy and just funny. I say whatever I say, and I'm very truthful, and I think she respects that. And I'm very open and vulnerable, and I think she respects that. And and there's no judgment. She doesn't judge me. She's 13, man. People that are 13, they either judge you a lot or they don't judge you at all. They're very heavy or they're very light, and but everybody else in my life, finding connection with anybody is very difficult. And for me, I don't desire anything. I've reached the stage in my life where, when I was in Thailand, I realized that I didn't really need anything. I didn't really desire anything. And I've always kind of been like that, just to survive, not be depressed. The less you desire, the happier you are. If you're, really bad off like us, because you can't afford to desire much. And I feel like most of the people I spend time around, they desire. And they want quick fixes, so they're always focused on themselves because they're always focused on getting more and wanting more. And and distracting their mind with attaining things and quick fixes so they don't have to feel pain. And when they do that, they can't really be there for me because they're too focused on the self. They're too focused on themselves. Life is hard, man. I mean, not really, man. I mean, it's like, it's day to day, right? It's day to day. It's like some days are really good for us. Some days are really bad for us. But having those meaningful connections with people is extremely important. But going back to it, a lot of us are not the same person every day. A lot of us are not the same person from 1 hour to the next. We're suicidal in the morning. We're crying. And we're happy at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then so when you're not a consistent person, it's hard to also develop relationships with other people. I don't know, man. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. I'll most likely be back on Monday. And if you leave a comment, I won't be replying until Monday because I won't have my cell phone on. But thank you so much for everything. And I hope you're having a great time. And if you want to read some crazy, horrendous stuff, you can read my ebook. I'll probably explain a lot about, if there's anybody in your life that doesn't understand you or doesn't understand what you're going through. If they read that book, they'll get a picture about who you are and what you're going through. That's why I wrote it. I didn't really write it. I mostly wrote it. I wrote it for teenagers, actually, which is the weird thing, because I'm a high school teacher, believe it or not. Like I was talking about, being homicidal in my last video. And I was thinking about, the homicidal high school teacher. It sounds like a cheesy B horror movie, on Netflix or something like that. But yeah, I spent so much time around kids. I understand that kids have a lot of problems. So I pretty much wrote the book for high school kids, or kids that grow up in really abusive homes, who are mentally ill or going through things, or borderline or anything like that, and the families to read the books so they can understand their children. But it's also for adults. All right, guys, everybody in the house is up, so I'm out. Have a good day, guys. Thank you so much.